Open up the meeting. Welcome everyone to the March. It's now March. Technology Advisory Committee meeting. First order of business, did everybody get a chance to look at the minutes from last meeting? Who were here? Any changes or updates? Nope, none for me. They're good. Now we're getting an echo.
Yeah. Well, Annie and I were messing with that the other day, so that's probably why.
Okay. All right, well, then I say the minutes are approved. Lamar, are you hearing the echo?
Getting an echo from me?
No, we're good. Okay. All right, first order of business is the traffic camera update. So we did get bids back from SDS. For those here in the room, everybody has a copy of the 6 bids that came back. That is for the hardware, and I added in the software costs to the spreadsheet. Lamar, it is all updated to our SharePoint, is where all the documents are. So we haven't gone through anything. Chief Hawk has gone through and looked at any other vendors, but this had been recommended based upon the exchange of emails with him. So these are for the 6 intersections. The way you read the top is the intersection like McKnight and Duncan. You got 6 license plate readers and 2 overview cameras. It's my cheat sheet here. And we were talking about earlier, the data service is, I wasn't sure if that was monthly or yearly. So that is probably most likely should be monthly. So that needs to be updated. Unless we can tag team off of somebody else's, like with Ross or some, there's some other way to get the internet. I don't know, but that needs to be updated. But then I have all the rest of the costs that we have in here. So that's kind of the summary. Any comments or questions, Joe, as you and I have been working through this?
Yeah, I mean, I think
It's kind of what we expected.
it's kind of what we expected. I mean, this is one quote. There are other people that can do this. There's
Well,
other vendors that can do the
they could
cameras.
absolutely.
It might have to be the secure technical that makes the actual connection to the plate smart. I think there was some
Yeah,
discussion about that. 'cause they
that's where
said-
it went. Yeah, that's why he went with this one initially.
But I mean, there's what, there's $100,000 in the budget for this year.
Yeah.
And there's nothing next year.
We did a general number for
Yeah, I was putting
traffic
around,
signals. So I mean, could be some flexibility.
but it's not like directly.
It's not earmarked for that.
No, because we just didn't know for sure. And I mean, the capital improvement budget is also flexible year to year, even though
Yeah,
we
right,
created it
yeah.
for 5
Yeah,
years,
yeah.
but
Well, I mean, I guess I'm looking at. The installs are about 75 grand
Right.
and the yearlies are, well, what, we got 6. It's about $3,000 higher, so that's about 15. But it is March and these aren't gonna get put in instantly.
Right.
So I guess my question would be. If it's gonna take 6 months to get these things put in. And you have $100,000 and maybe not do any next year. Add a couple more intersections.
That's
yeah, and I mean, piece 2 is figuring out what intersections. And if we can tag team them with the other stuff we're doing,
Right.
and then
Well, I think it's right. The McKnight and Peebles, Ross has stuff there already.
okay.
I think that's what's like,
what do you say about McKnight People's?
It's right on.
there's a possibility you could tie into Ross Police Network for the
Yeah.
internet. That's how we did the other intersections on McKnight.
Okay.
If you can reach out to Ross.
And that's what he said, yeah, because it's on that McKnight and Duncan too.
McKnight and Duncan, McKnight and Peebles. He didn't say Paramount.
Yeah. Well,
And again,
There's nothing but Paramount and
unless Ross doesn't have, it,
19,
Ross doesn't have it.
yeah,
so
well, they don't have any at Paramount. I thought, do they maybe have it?
They
at
might have it down further
the old,
hey, Mike.
where ski shop is, maybe. over
or,
there.
yeah,
Yeah.
Oakmont.
but,
It's with the Oakmont.
well, and again, that doesn't even approach the fact that it's right, like if we put one at Sheets, I would give the internet from my office, because it's
Right.
right there.
Yeah.
So I mean, that hasn't even been,
Yeah, that's what I mean. We haven't looked at what other options are some of the internet, or as we talked about other briefly, if we're doing some work on some of those signals anyway, could some of this installation work be done by our folks versus paying somebody to do it all? So that's another way to potentially carve out.
Yeah, probably more still a contractor, but maybe component by that.
Well, it could be,
Something
if
like
you
that.
know, if you've already got somebody up there, then you're not paying for somebody to be there.
That's the thought.
It's just an
I guess
add-
my hope was maybe we get 2 more intersections out of it based on that bid.
Yeah.
That was my kind of thought.
well, and maybe do get 2 more intersections by looking at some other. I mean,
Yeah.
I'm assuming it's not just going on this one company gave a price and that's it.
Well,
I don't know totally, just because that plate mark technology or
Yeah.
whatever, I don't know
Well-
if they have any exclusivity.
They don't, there was an email somewhere along the way.
Okay.
From either Zapala's office or the Chiefs Association that basically said,
This is the one.
anybody can install them. but
Yes,
Somebody, whoever sold the business, the block can't touch the.
Right.
Okay, I knew
Right.
there was something about that. That's
That
what I
was
was
the-
thinking
I'm
about, so,
looking
okay.
to see.
I seem to remember there was an email that said like,
what was the outcome of the pallet? Did we ever get any answer?
Yes,
they
that's what we're,
picked
that's
this,
what
they
we're,
picked this plate smart instead of flock.
Okay, that's what you just explained to me.
right.
Okay, so
Which-
now, Joe, you're saying that isn't this plate smart?
Yeah.
This is plate.
The,
And I
But
thought.
plate
this was
smart
that-
is only software.
yeah,
Oh, okay.
So
you're
you,
talking about
because
this-
everybody else already
You're
has,
talking
the
about the
va-
installation.
right, has a vast majority of the hardware, the cameras already installed. We do not,
'Cause we
which is
buy it.
why.
I think they shut Franklin Parks off like a couple weeks ago.
Really?
Well, they didn't,
We're not doing, yeah,
no, but they didn't pay the flock. So I think anybody that was kind of getting forced into flock, they just shut them off because it was done.
right.
But there was one of the emails that said, I guess whoever
Look, yeah,
whoever was installing these before
cannot,
can install the cameras, but can't connect them to the flock,
Yeah.
to the plate smart system.
it's the pricing,
So then who's gonna connect them to the plate system?
like these folks are.
Probably like,
These guys.
So in other words, we can't go off on our own and find somebody.
we can,
We sure can.
because the connection thing is not. You know, what, you pay the base 2,200 subscription to get into the Plate Smart network a year.
Right,
And then you pay $325 a camera, so.
right.
It can't be that expensive to bring somebody else in to just install the license, basically, to get into the Plate Smart network. So you can have anybody hang the cameras. If you found another company that did these cameras installs and their upfront price was 50 grand.
I'm missing something. I thought you just said that if they install, they can't connect.
That's just the one
That's just the
contractor.
one contractor.
Yeah,
The one contractor that probably did the bulk of the work around
Okay,
here.
that's-
So
That's what had me confused.
He
I got
can't,
it.
he
He
can't
can't
connect
do
them to Plate Smart.
Got it.
And just to give you like the letter from Plate Smart, some of the things they said was, Smart Technologies will train and work with your
Yeah,
chosen
that's
installer,
too. Yeah,
and hardware installation maintenance will be the responsibility of your chosen installer.
Okay.
So Plate Smart's the, the software, so to
Got it.
speak.
I got it.
The hardware, and that's, in trying to work through that. Obviously, just like last time with the company that did this. Once one person has done it for a police department, the other chiefs are like, that guy did a great job. If they did a great job, they get called from a lot more, so.
the Plate Smart camera license is not $325. According to this, it's $390. I did not go back and double check, so. I'll have to update this, so I'll update that to yearly. And it's according to this,
That's
The plates-
$325 a year.
yeah, it's actually $390 per camera per year.
So this is wrong.
Yeah, it's
The $325 was their grandfathered price for people that already.
You said
existed.
$390?
390.
Okay.
For all new agencies not currently connected to the ALPR solution, which is us,
Uh-huh.
the price is $390 per camera license per year. So I will update this little spreadsheet and get it back out to everybody.
Yeah, I mean, the yearly costs are like
It's not a big deal. Yeah.
17,000 now instead of 12.
It's not that, it's not gonna make or break, but at least let me get this correct. So we aren't going off bad data.
Yeah, I mean, there's probably a half a dozen companies that could do this. Horizon, D'Agostino, Secure Something,
D&D,
Bod-
Davis and Davis, yeah.
Bodnar, or whatever. Brodner, whatever that one that is always parked. With the
Yeah.
boom truck at one of the intersections. Yeah, I mean, there's multiple companies and, you know. I don't know. Wasn't a whole. The only thing I didn't like was there wasn't a whole lot about like. What these actual cameras,
Well, I was hoping that you guys would know what these cameras were, because I know I didn't.
I think they're Avers or something.
I didn't have
But that
any
is
idea
The
what-
best guess I could have. So I mean,
I,
you know, like not having the.
Spec.
Is it a 1-year warranty? Is it a 5-year
yeah, all we need,
warranty?
yeah. So.
And again, it's also. It's not just the license plate readers, there's monitoring cameras on these intersections.
That's the overview, those are the overview cameras that are on, on each intersection. Either 2 or 4, depending upon which intersection you're talking about. So where would you like us to go from here?
I mean. I think everyone here has talked about, we'd like to do whatever we can afford to do pretty much.
Right,
So I mean, my take is I need a couple more quotes, a little bit more information, and then. Also just working with the traffic. Sign division that handles our traffic lights
Right.
over with the Public Works and Ryan. And Ryan, Jeff and them have been talking the whole time through all this.
I
so,
figured that, yeah.
So I mean. I guess I don't know. The best ask that I'm looking for, but I think we would do this if we get it. I don't know if you guys need more input or take. It's
Yeah.
like, hey, if we can make it work, let's do it, because we've been waiting on this forever.
That,
I think
So,
I think you just, I mean, the big thing, my big takeaway is. If you have the money, like. Probably really hard to get 8 intersections instead of 6.
Yeah.
yeah,
Because the yearly stuff really isn't gonna come into play until September, October,
Right.
November.
Yeah.
Do you know if they're color or if they're black and white?
I think that when I've seen any of these, they've
Should be
been
color.
colored.
They gotta
Now,
be-
granted,
they
there was the
gotta be
Franklin
color.
Park ones that have been cut
No,
off.
they
but-
can be black and white.
but
that-
but then how
if
do
you
you know,
really wanna
how do you
see
know if
the-
it's a gray sedan? If
That's.
but that was part of the whole thing, so they've got to be colored.
That was the.
Yeah, the
question.
overhead ones for sure. The license plate reader, I don't know if that matters as much because it's reading the license plates. But
Yeah, but sometimes it's hard to read depending on what.
Yeah.
what
it's
state-
doing it automatically kind of thing.
Yeah.
You know, it's just, so if they can't read it because like
No,
the plates that are out there.
it Would be color.
Yeah.
I just thought I'd ask the question.
I mean, I could be wrong, but I would
Also, some of the Pennsylvania plates are
Hard to read.
corroded, so you'll need that color too, I think.
Okay. Well, if there's, you get other quotes or want things for us, to see, Brian can just shoot us stuff again,
Okay.
like it did, and.
Yeah.
You know, I can pull together. Quick comparison, shoot it out to everybody to see if anybody's got any input, but.
Yeah.
Like just
If we
go.
can make it happen, let's make it happen.
This is not, I'd say this is not a bad quote, it's a little incomplete, but. You know, it gives you an idea of what the price is gonna be, so
And
just
try to shoot break instead of 6.
go, yes. Any other questions or?
Gives you a little room. Get a little bit, I mean, we're so far behind, anything you can catch up now,
Yeah,
because it's just gonna be more
You
expensive
don't have
next
to tell
year
me.
and
I
the year
tell-
after.
I had learned my lesson the first meeting here. I'm going, they what?
yep.
Ah, I couldn't believe how far behind.
All right, and so I will update this spreadsheet and
Okay.
get it back out to that. And that way you all have something. If you get other quotes, you can just modify and do with as you so choose.
Thank you.
Absolutely. That was easy. All right, anything else on the traffic cameras? How's our website coming along?
I just got this morning, RJ and John had a meeting with Civic Engage.
Yep.
And they gave us like the concept of the front page.
Okay,
So I just got that. I don't know if it makes sense then to send it to that little focus group kind of thing and say like, hey, we have 5 to 10 days to look at it and let us know if anyone has any input. I think that could be helpful.
sure,
And I'll share that with everybody too here.
good.
I just got that at the end of the day, so I haven't figured that out yet. I looked at it and I said, oh, that looks much better. That's
Great.
where I am. So
Are there any specific things that you'd like to get from this group? I mean, I'm afraid people will say, oh, it's good, or, oh, I don't like it. We want to ask more targeted things like, what features do you like? What features don't you like? Or what features are missing? Or
I'm not sure if we're at that point yet, so I don't know if it makes sense to bring them in because this is literally just the 5 menu items and the 6 buttons
okay,
and kind of the look of it.
yeah, what you shared last week, or 2 weeks ago, whatever that was, that clearly was not enough.
No, that was just the color scheme, which
Yeah.
they just gave me the next step, which is kind of the top menu items, the 6 buttons we picked, and those are all interchangeable anyway, but
Right.
it was more to show us what the site would look like in a layout.
Since it's been a while, does it make any sense to send that out to folks and just say, hey, we are still moving on? We haven't stopped, here's where we are. This is what the front page is gonna look, what we think the front page looks like.
Yeah.
If you have any feedback, we'd love it, but we'll get you more engaged as we get, another step
like
or so
that.
down.
I like
Yeah,
it a lot.
I think that makes sense, and then we could do, we could try to target how they, the things we are actually looking to possibly change in this process.
Okay, good. Great.
Yeah.
So Mike, you'll send it out once we get that?
And we've been continuing, John, our communications contact department head has been bothering all the other department heads to update their text.
Oh, good.
So that we everything's a little bit refreshed, so.
Good. That's, we like.
Yeah, we have a couple little things that we've already, talked about setting up that
Uh-huh.
breaks out a little bit more than our current setup.
Good.
It needs a refresher for sure, especially.
That was the Civic I'm sorry, that was the Civic Engage concept page?
Yes,
Yeah, that's been, they're the chosen vendor.
Looking to see that. Thanks.
Oh. All right, any other questions on the website stuff now? Okay. Those were the 2 main topics.
Yeah.
Other business,
Now,
yeah.
where are we with our software?
so what software? So let me go through all this. So like what,
What we're gonna use here for the office?
Finance and the tax.
So-
Yeah, and finance and tax is what's holding it up, right?
a bit, but like, so. Let me try to explain this a little better than I did last time because I stumbled over it. The financial software. Number one, there's someone else that has implemented it. It's not going well, which is part of the reason why we've also had multiple salespeople. We've talked about all that.
Mhm.
But the focus right now is on the tax software. The property tax software is currently in a DOS-based system, RBA. They're putting together a proposal to switch it to their Windows-based program. If that happens, we don't have to use the possible Springbrook module for that. And we believe they will have a module for our occupational business tax that we currently use, a company called Big, that we want to move over to whatever we're using. So that's one piece of it.
So let me understand this.
Yes,
So we're actually staying with the company that we have. They're just gonna switch us over to Windows.
for the tax, the
For
property tax
property
collector.
tax.
Yes,
And then for
occupational business tax.
occupational business tax.
We also then, if that
It'll be in Spring.
works, we'd be able to put that
Yeah.
over there. No,
We'll
it'd
put
be,
that over in the yard.
it would still be in the RBA.
Okay,
So all the tax department would have its one.
okay.
Um,
So they're gonna have their own,
So you would have Tracer for
please.
RJ's,
Tracer would be planning, code enforcement, public works,
Public Works.
then you would have RBA for
tax
property
collection.
tax and business privilege tax. And then Springbrook with in theory, Springbrook with certain modules.
Yeah, with
For finance.
just, and to throw in another thing that we're looking at right now is third-party payroll options, which again changes the use of Springbrook in the sense that we're not buying all their little modules. Granted, we now still have multiple softwares, but
Right.
we got third party, it's not really software, it's a service. With
So you're
our,
thinking of basically outsourcing payroll.
ADP, paychecks, like that kind of.
yeah, we've had ADP,
So
I think Paychex is coming, someone else is coming in. If you don't know, our Sydney Grace Richards, our human resources and payroll person, has put in her 2 weeks notice, so she will be leaving us.
Oh,
Thankful for everything she's done for us every year. She's been a good employee.
absolutely.
But because of that, that also, we were already talking about this, but that kind of made it more of a, let's see if this is our best option, for multiple reasons, because the way it currently works, you're still doing a lot of unneeded manual work.
Yeah.
In my opinion.
So
Sorry.
Springbrook, then those proposals they made aren't gonna be,
No,
they have to be all changed.
they're gonna be changed. So we're just, but now in Trish's defense, the biggest pain has been tax.
Yeah.
And with payroll behind because of all the manual stuff.
Well, and again, I think there's always gonna be some level of manual payroll
Right,
stuff.
I do.
Because if you have a guy from Public Works that's a carpenter in the morning and something else in the afternoon, he gets paid 2 different rates for that
Well,
day.
that's what
Right.
we talked about.
I mean, that's one of the kind of,
Yeah, I mean, there's the fact, if you're doing HR in your own system here, you have 3 different departments that are paid very differently across 2 different contracts, kind of thing. So, but yeah, I've had experience using payroll systems with union contracts. And if you get the data entry up front, you can usually work through that a little bit better than I think AccuFund has had its moments of being not talking well to each other within the finance and payroll side.
AccuFund doesn't talk well to a lot. Your version of AccuFund doesn't talk real well to a lot.
Okay, so this is supposed to be our year where we're doing all of this. How far behind are we?
Well, I mean, Tracer's being implemented.
Yes,
The property tax one, I want to say after. We'll be moving over to the Windows based if the proposal makes sense in this summer, after the first round of property taxes go out. I could be wrong on that.
the permits went with Tracer, right?
Right,
Yes,
Yes,
so it's not
permitting's-
completely live yet, but there's still,
So you'd only need finance, AR, single sign on, no building permits, no tax collection, no payroll, and no employee self-service.
right.
if we're gonna implement. A finance software, it's gotta be in the second or fourth quarter, so. If we can pull it off, it'd be in the fourth quarter of this year.
so that's, if it's gonna be in the fourth quarter. That's gonna be after the budget.
Mhm.
Cause you don't wanna do it during that
I
third
thought we
quarter.
wanted, I thought our whole purpose was to get that so that this year we could switch over.
I mean, unfortunately, we just haven't been able to
Yeah,
have the staff capacity to.
it's too late.
It's,
It's
yeah,
too late to
Make
get
that
the
happen.
budget in,
Okay,
I think. Because I mean, if you signed a deal with them today,
Yeah, I mean, everything we do is
Maybe.
6 to 7 months
yeah,
anyway.
so would be doing this then,
November.
I was gonna say November. October, November.
Yeah, and I mean,
That
That,
seems like such a long time.
mm,
So,
I
I
mean,
mean,
to switch over, I mean, one of the reasons this committee exists is because this town was very, as I understand it, a little bit behind
you're being generous.
for technology. And I think that we now have a bunch of people that embrace it. And we're getting there, but there's still the fact that every version of that still involves making drastic changes into what we already do every day. So now we're taking extra steps into people's regular tasks. And I think it's harder to do than we all want to believe that we could make it happen.
I still say we need a drop date,
well, I mean,
because it just seems like we keep putting it
Yes.
off, keep putting it off.
because if you don't get it picked
It
and
just keep on
signed and
going,
done,
keep on going and keep on
now,
going.
you're not gonna use it till 2025.
You know, and I hate to say NA, but when we were at NA, our drop date was, this is it, you're either on board or you're not.
Yeah.
I mean, we're doing
I
it.
mean,
I just think if I'm looking at with the lack of a manager for 3 months and the change, the ability to pull off 3 or 4
I'm
different
not-
softwares at once, yeah.
Please understand me.
Yeah, I
What
know.
I'm trying to say is. It's been postponed. When we first started, when I first got on here, it was supposed to be this spring. And now all of a sudden we're talking about next fall.
Well,
So I'm
maybe,
just saying we need a drop
I mean,
date.
and if I go by the last proposal. You're down to like $20,000 a year in licensing costs and $30,000 in implementation.
so
With,
it's-
you know, again, the biggest chunk of everything was the payroll. I mean,
Yeah.
the payroll was half of the annual fee, basically.
well,
And it's not like it's gonna be free with these other ones, but. They experience it. I mean. It's not like ADP and paychecks and they, you know, we're not doing anything so unique here that they don't know how to do.
they'll be able to do it.
But, you know, it's so, I mean, the price is down and if it's only. It's only finance and AR at this point.
I think that's where we're going.
Then maybe what it would be helpful is to get some dates, like when is the decision gonna be made on tax? And just so everybody's all on the same page, and so council's on the same page as well, we're gonna have tax decided and signed by,
This is what council's been saying. And that,
and then if we're gonna be doing payroll, so if we could break it maybe down into those pieces. And
I was backwards. It's the tax collection ones. That's huge. The tax collection one was 26 grand.
yeah, and that's one of the reasons now with upgrade, we can do tax with a current system. I'm sure there's gonna be fees to upgrade, but it's not gonna be 26 grand
No, I think it's
year.
closer to
a
8.
year.
right. but
And there should be there should be little to no learning code
right.
going from. the
All
DOS
I'm,
to
all I'm
Windows.
saying is,
Oh, I'm with
we
you.
need a drop date.
Right. So I agree.
Because it keeps getting
I think,
pushed back.
I think the absolute probably. The last chance to get it implemented in time for. Actually using it January 1st, 2024. Would probably be. Beginning of May. It's probably the latest that you could sign a deal and expect to get the implementation. Done in time to be able to be ready for January 1st.
Well-
With the bulk of the time. That people need to learn it would occur in the fourth quarter.
Well, let's think about this. So tax, we're close. When do you think by
I mean,
the end of this month?
I really don't know. I want to figure that out.
I think this would be, if we could, and I have to help sit down. I have no issue coming
I-
down and sit, talk to Tricia too.
Yeah, I can do that. It's one of those, I have general things and then I'm sitting here and I was like, I should have. Made it more clear, because I checked with everyone
Right,
today.
the only reason I'm saying this is, every time we have, and I have to talk about technology, they go, well, what's going on with the software? And I said, well, we're on delay because of, and I talked about the taxes, I talked about this, we're trying to work. And they look at me and go, I thought you had a council, a committee that's supposed to do all of this. And I said, we made our recommendation, but there's been some loopholes or whatever you want to call it. And it's been postponed back till we can figure out this part of it or that part of it. But it keeps coming back. When are they gonna do it? Because we have a council that wants to get things done. And it's been a year. And they keep saying, what's going on? What's going on? What's on? So that's the reason, Brian, I bring it up.
Yeah.
Not to put you on the spot, but I feel like I'm on the spot when I'm reporting.
Mhm.
If that makes any sense.
Yeah, it does.
Because then I always say, Brian, I missed the last meeting. Could you talk? I forgot about that. Just like, but anyhow,
So Brian, if we could just get a date.
Sure.
Because we can get tax done, at least decision made
Yeah,
with an implementation, so that we've got a date, a
And we
decision
work
made
towards
by the end of this month.
Yeah.
An implementation done by whenever.
I think, I mean, the tax thing right now, I don't believe they've given us a full proposal. I think we've asked them to.
Okay,
So I don't even know if I have that.
but then this is what we need, yeah.
Yeah.
We kind of push the vendors, and the same with payroll. Honestly, moving to ADP and rest of it would lose instead, it's not, it's a good idea, it's not a bad idea.
Right now, I'll tell you, our process to do W-2s through Accuphone and their module was frustrating and long. And I feel like that alone was for me to be like, we need to find a better way to do this. So.
Like,
I know very few places that do their own payroll.
Yeah,
anymore.
because
I
it's just
mean,
gotten so complicated and
Which,
stuff,
and
so.
We told you, we don't have a problem with that.
Yeah, no,
Yes.
I think it could work.
I
so.
still think you're gonna need a lot of input.
Yeah,
They're gonna have. to
There's
have
still,
input,
there's still a data entry piece of
A lot
that,
of it, yeah.
but it's not the checking and rechecking and going back and
Right.
checking every little box
Yeah.
that ends up happening.
Right, so if we
And
could,
they should be able to spit out a file that basically you import right into Springbrook and it's done. There's
Right.
no,
Hopefully.
that's,
Okay.
that's.
All right.
No, that's a question.
There's-
There's no one we're gonna go with that doesn't put it into a CSV
So,
file.
so that if we
That
meet,
can be uploaded.
if we meet in April, we'll have those dates.
Yes.
Okay, that's what I wanna hear.
beautiful,
Yeah, I think if. June might be cutting it tight to get it done by the end of the year, but also not impossible.
Right.
Because
could be done.
say NA, because NA is gonna re-implement a whole student information system in
Well, that's
7
fine.
months, so.
And what do? This is the drop dead date.
Yep.
You come and learn, you don't learn it, then you gotta do it
Yeah.
yourself.
Cause I think, I mean, again, it's one of these things that people don't wanna pull a Band-Aid off, but it's gonna be better after it's done by a lot. So. Again,
I just know.
May is the,
People.
April's
procrastinate.
ideal. If we could all be wrapped up and approved in April, that would be better. May is probably okay, and June probably cuts it close, but it's not impossible.
Right.
July, then you're putting it off till the second quarter next year.
I think just the finance software was explained to me when I got here, that was, I mean, essentially put on hold over the summer. I don't know when it was expected to be done after that. And I think,
I think the original expectation was that it would be in process right now,
Yes.
and the budget, next year's budget would be
Be in the-
happening in the system, and
system.
then the fall would be the ramp up to
And this is what was told to council, and now
approve, yeah, I mean.
all of a
that's-
sudden, we hit this roadblock with the tax thing, the final part of that. And everything else goes by the wayside.
Yeah.
Whereas just because that's there, why can't we continue with the rest? But that part, I think, we get the bid, and say, okay,
Yeah,
we gotta move forward, we can't.
So the,
keep-
so
Because
the
the money's
status
there
for
now.
the,
go ahead, I'm sorry, Lamar.
no, I'm sorry, the status for the Springbrook software, let me get this straight, was that it's not going well while we were trying to implement. We've got a subject matter expert that's leaving, and we're investigating software looking to Q4 2023. Did I record that correctly?
We have a staff member who's leaving, which is given us an opportunity, given them an opportunity to look at a payroll provider, not just payroll software. Because Springbrook originally had tax, payroll, and finance. It was the whole kit and caboodle. And part of the challenge with tax is they didn't have everything written for the state of Pennsylvania. So there were some
Okay.
questions. So originally it was going to be finance, then tax and payroll. But now they flipped it. So it's tax and payroll and then finance. And meanwhile, broken it into pieces. And
Gotcha.
who's implementing this? It's Pine that's not going well? Is it Pine? Or is it Franklin Park?
Franklin Park.
Franklin Park. But I don't know what, there's a lot that goes on with an implementation of an enterprise software like that. There's lots of ways it can go right and can not go right. It can be a challenge, so,
I love to hear about the dates.
yes.
Okay.
All right. What else? Anything else? Any other business this evening?
I don't have anything else. It's not really any more information from last month, but I'm still want to get to the point of exploring upgrading security cameras.
And those are gonna be only a couple $1,000s.
Yeah.
They're not expensive.
I just want to make sure I have as much coverage for everything that I want
Yeah.
as possible in one system or something like that.
Have you talked to Andy at all about any kind of wiring that we're gonna need?
Andy is providing so when you're talking about the wiring that we've talked about,
Yes,
I mean, so we currently have Cat5 through everywhere here. It's also pretty easy to run anything through here if we need to. So like our public works guys could run something from here to here in about 10 minutes.
okay, so we're not tearing the ceilings out.
That is not the plan with that HVAC
Okay.
quote if we get good. They could. Jeff and his guys can put conduit in from here to my office if
And
if
not
we
tear
needed to run.
So we're not gonna tear out the ceilings, that I'm not worrying about it, but if
Yeah.
we're gonna tear out the
100%.
ceilings, then I say we do it the right way.
There's not a whole lot more wiring that we would put in too, because upgrading to like, I guess, Cat 7. But so much is wireless anymore. I don't know if we would ever really need to put that many more wires
Did we?
for
talk-
internet.
Did we talk any more about finding a separate room for the whole system instead of in the break room? Look at all the dust that gets.
I have
Plus,
not.
how do you cool
I
it?
know it's been mentioned.
I mean, it has to have cooling, right?
Mm-hmm.
Has to have cooling, and it has to be dust free, and that's not all that cooled, and it's not all that dust free.
It does have air conditioning on all the time in there.
Does it?
Yeah.
Well, I think we could do better.
Yeah.
I mean, isn't there a closet over there somewhere?
There's a closet, but I don't know if that's any better either. I don't think there's any air conditioning in there.
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
Yeah,
Well,
you need the air in there.
let's put a vent in there. That's not that difficult. Okay.
It would be nice to be able to lock that thing up.
Yes. that's a good
It would be
idea.
nice to be able to lock it up.
Then Andy from PM Computing is updating a quote for the council chambers room to
Okay.
make that more usable again for virtual style meetings.
Good.
And we're also trying to see if there's anything else we can do here, future council meetings that make sense to work better. Our current battle, if I was gonna, and I could be, I'm not an expert in this at all, but I think that when you're fighting the Zoom version of this and the room version of this, that you just kind of run into just some conflicts that cause problems. So like right now, if we turn that volume up, you can hear really good in the back. But it blows out on virtual and then it just sounds distorted. We have pretty good speakers in here. I don't know how to address that without putting in another system. And also like, I know these microphones are pretty new, but trying to figure out something that works, because council also like random things get picked up here during meetings
Oh, really?
sometimes,
Oh.
particularly on that system, not as much in the Zoom, but
Okay.
Yeah.
I think that should probably be fixed.
And what about this camera too?
Hot mic all the time, huh?
I think we talked about then putting in a third camera in here then to make that work, something that gets this a little bit better than the wide.
Then the wide.
Something that you're tracking and zooming. Perhaps too.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's either that or you have someone who is almost running it in the back.
Yeah,
So
you don't need to do that though. You don't want to do that, do you?
no, because the person usually like Melinda right now is also like taking notes and doing other
Busy
stuff.
enough, yeah.
Yes.
I mean, ideally, we'd like to move that to back there.
That's what I was gonna
So-
ask you. Why do we have it up here?
It's the way they made it, because there wasn't technology when they built that.
Yeah.
So I think, we hope we'll have some plans next year for remodeling this a bit in the sense of flooring.
Okay.
So I don't want to jump too far ahead
Yeah.
Right.
but yeah,
That makes sense.
I'd like to do something so that I feel like our meetings are working properly and you can. We have a very good video system at the end of the day. That's the way it's set up in my understanding.
Mhm.
But it's, and everyone struggles with this. It's not just a McCandless thing. It's just
And it's a product of throwing all this stuff into COVID.
Big
And
COVID.
now it's time to go back and.
Do it
clean
right.
up. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, versus, I mean, we pulled it all together pretty darn quick.
Yeah.
COVID, get stuff done, but it was piecemeal.
Of course.
It's time to do it right. All right, anything else this evening? Then
Nope.
do I hear a motion to adjourn?
Move.
And a second. All right, we are adjourned. Thank you, everybody. And it was good to see you, Lamar.
Thanks, Lamar.
Thank you, I'll be more
Right,
regular.
take care.
Appreciate it. Bye-bye.
Thank you, everybody.